It's noon, lunchtime. I sit in a hallway I don't recognise. I walked here because I needed to get away from the dormitory. Maybe if I bring my bed in here, I will never have to go to the dormitory again. It may be my imagination, but it still smells like blood in there, even though I scrubbed the floor until my hands were sore, and someone poured bleach on it this morning. I pinched the bridge of my nose. Scrubbing the floor when no one else wanted to was something that my mother would have done. If I can't be with her, the least I can do is act like her sometimes. I hear people approaching, their footsteps echoing on the stone floor, and I look down at my shoes. I switched from grey trainers to black trainers a week ago, but the grey trainers are buried in one of my drawers. I can't bear to throw them away, even though I know it's foolish to be attached to trainers, like they can bring me home. Tris, I looked up. Uriah stops in front of me. He waves along the dauntless born initiates he walks with. They exchange looks but keep moving. You okay? He says. Had a difficult night. Yeah, I heard about the guy Edward. Uriah looks down the hallway. The dauntless born initiates disappear around the corner. Then he grins a little. Want to get out of here? What? I ask. Where are you going? To a little initiation ritual, he says. Come on, we have to hurry. I briefly consider my options. I can sit here or I can leave the dauntless compound. I push myself to my feet and jog next to Uriah to catch up with the dauntless born initiates. The only initiates they usually let come are the ones with older siblings in Dauntless, he says, but they might not even notice. Just act like you belong. What exactly are we doing? Something dangerous, he says. A look I can only describe as dauntless mania enters his eyes. But rather than recoil from it, as I might have a few weeks ago, I catch it like it's contagious. Excitement replaces the leaden feeling inside me. We slow when we reach the dauntless born initiates. What's that stiff doing here? Asks the boy with a metal ring between his nostrils. She just saw that guy get stabbed in the eye, Gabe, says Uriah. Give her a break, okay? Gabe shrugs and turns away. No one else says anything, though a few of them give me a sidelong glance like they're sizing me up. The dauntless born initiates are like a pack of dogs. If I act the wrong way, they won't let me run with them, but for now, I'm safe. We turn another corner, and a group of members stands at each end of the next hallway. There are too many of them to all be related to a dauntless born initiate, but I see some similarities among their faces. Let's go, one of the members says. He turns and plunges through a dark doorway. The other members follow him, and we follow them. I stay close behind Uriah as I pass into the darkness, and my toe hits a step. I catch myself before falling forward and start to climb. Back staircase, Uriah says, almost mumbling. Usually locked. I nod, though he can't see me, and climb until all of the steps are gone. By then, a door at the top of the staircase is open, letting in daylight. We emerge from the ground a few hundred yards from the glass building above the pit, close to the train tracks. I feel like I've done this 1,000 times before. I hear the train horn, I feel the vibrations in the ground, I see the light attached to the car ahead, I crack my knuckles and bounce once on my toes. We jog in a single pack next to the car, and in waves, members and initiates alike pile into the car. Uriah gets in before me, and people press behind me. I can't make any mistakes. I throw myself sideways, grabbing the handle on the side of the car, and hoist myself into the car. Uriah grabs my hand to steady me. The train picks up speed. Uriah and I sit against one of the walls. I shout over the wind, "Where are we going?" Uriah shrugs. Zeke never told me. Zeke? My older brother, he says. He points across the room to a boy sitting in the doorway with his legs dangling out of the car. He's slight and short and looks nothing like a Uriah, apart from his colouring. You don't get to know. That ruins the surprise, the girl on my left shouts. She extends her hand. I'm Shauna. I shake her hand, but I don't grip it hard enough and let go too quickly. I doubt I will ever improve my handshake. It feels unnatural to grasp hands with strangers. I start to say, I know who you are. You're the stiff Thor told me about you. I pray the heat in my cheeks is not visible. Oh, what did he say? She smirks at me. He said you were a stiff. Why'd you ask? If my instructor is talking about me, I say, as firmly as I can, I want to know what he's saying. I hope I tell a convincing lie. He isn't coming, is he? No, he never comes to this. It's probably lost its appeal. Nothing much scares him, you know. He isn't coming. Something in me deflates like a untied balloon. I ignore it and nod. I do know that Thor is not a coward, but I also know that at least one thing does scare him: heights. Wherever we're going, it must involve being too high for him to avoid it. She must not know that if she speaks of him with such reverence in her voice. Do you know him well? I ask. I'm too curious. I always have been. Everyone knows Thor, she says. We were initiates together. I was bad at fighting, so he taught me everything night after everyone was asleep. She scratches the back of her neck. Her expression suddenly says nervous. Nice of him. She gets up and stands behind the members sitting in the doorway. In a second, her serious expression is gone. But I feel rattled by what she said, half confused by the idea of Thor being nice and half wanting to punch her for no apparent reason. Here we go, Shauna shouts. The train doesn't slow down, but she throws herself out of the car. The other members follow. A stream of black-clothed, pierced people, not much older than I am. I stand in the doorway next to Uriah. The train's going much faster than it has every other time I've jumped, but I can't lose my nerve now in front of all of these members. So I jump, hitting the ground hard and stumbling forward a few steps before I regain my balance. Uriah and I jog to catch up to the members, along with other initiates who barely look in my direction. I look around as I walk. The hub is behind me, black against the clouds, but the buildings around me are dark and silent. That means we must be north of the bridge, where the city is abandoned. We turn a corner and spread out as we walk down Michigan Avenue, south of the bridge. Michigan Avenue is a busy street crawling with people, but here it's bare. As soon as I lift my eyes to scan the buildings, I know where we're going. The empty Hancock building, a black pillar with crisscrossing girders, the tallest building north of the bridge. But what are we going to do? Climb it? As we get closer, the members start to run, and Uriah and I sprint to catch up. Jostling one another with their elbows, they push through a set of doors at the building's base. The glass in one of them is broken, so it's just a frame. I step back through it instead of opening it and follow the members through an eerie, dark entryway, crunching broken glass beneath my feet. I expect us to go up the stairs, but we stop at the elevator bank. Do the elevators work? I ask Uriah as quietly as I can. Sure they do, says Zeke, rolling his eyes. You think I'm stupid enough not to come here early and turn on the emergency generator? Yeah, Uriah says, I kind of do. Zeke glares at his brother, then puts him in a headlock and rubs his knuckles into Uriah's skull. Zeke may be taller than Uriah, but he must be stronger, or at least faster. Uriah smacks him at the side and lets go. I grin at the sight of Uriah's dishevelled hair, and the elevator opens up. We pile in, members in one and initiates in the other. A girl with a shaved head stomps on my toes on the way in and doesn't apologise. I grab my foot, wincing, and consider kicking her in the shins. Uriah stares at his reflection in the elevator doors and pats his hair down. What floor? The girl with the shaved head says. 100, I say. How would you know that? Lynn, come on, Uriah says. Be nice. We were in a 100-storey abandoned building with some dauntless, I retort. Why don't you know that? She didn't respond. She just jams her thumb into the right button. The elevator zooms upwards so fast my stomach sinks and my ears pop. I grab a railing at the side of the elevator, watching the numbers climb. We pass 20, 30, and Uriah's hair is finally smooth. 50, 60, and my toes are done throbbing. 98, 99, and the elevator stops at 100. I'm glad we didn't take the stairs. I wonder how we'll get off the roof then. I wonder how we'll get to the roof from Uriah's voice trails off. A strong wind hits me, pushing my hair across my face. There is a gaping hole in the ceiling on the 100th floor. Zeke props an aluminium ladder against the edge and starts to climb. The ladder creaks and sways beneath his feet, but he keeps climbing, whistling as he does. When he reaches the roof, he turns around and holds the top of the ladder for the next person. Part of me wonders if this is a suicide mission disguised as a game. If this isn't the first time it isn't the first time I've wondered that since the choosing ceremony. I climb the ladder after Uriah. It reminds me of climbing the rungs of the Ferris wheel with 4 close at my heels. I remember his fingers on my hips again, how they kept me from falling, and I almost miss a step on the ladder. Stupid. Biting my lip, I make it to the top and stand on the roof of the Hancock building. The wind is so powerful, I hear and feel nothing else. Have to lean against Uriah to keep from falling over. At first, all I can see is the marsh, wide and brown and everywhere touching the horizon, devoid of life. In the other direction is the city, and in many ways it's the same, lifeless, with limits I do not know. Uriah points to something attached to one of the poles on top of the tower. It's a steel cable and thick as my wrist. On the ground is a pile of black slings made of tough fabric, large enough to hold a human being. Zeke grabs one and attaches it to a pulley that hangs from a steel cable. I follow the cable down over the cluster of buildings and along Lakeshore Drive. I don't know where it ends. One thing is clear though, if I go through with this, I'll find out. We're going to slide down a steel cable in a black sling from 100 feet up. Oh my God, says Uriah. All I can do is nod. Shauna's the first person to get in the sling. She wriggles forward on her stomach until most of her body is supported by black fabric. Then Zeke pulls the strap across her shoulders, the small of her back and the top of her thighs. He pulls her in the sling to the edge of the building and counts down from 5. Shauna gives a thumbs up as he shoves her forward into nothingness. Lynn gasps as Shauna hurtles towards the ground at a steep incline, head first. I push past her to see better. Shauna stays secure in the sling for as long as I can see her, and then she's too far away, just a black speck over Lakeshore Drive. The members whoop and pump their fists and form a line, someone shoving one another out of the way to get a better place. Somehow, I'm the first initiate in the line, right in front of Uriah. Only 7 people stand between me and the zip line. Still, there is a part of me that groans. I have to wait for 7 people. It is a strange blend of terror and eagerness, unfamiliar until now. The next member, a young-looking boy with hair down to his shoulders, jumps into the sling on his back instead of on his stomach. He stretches his arms wide as Zeke shoves him down the steel cable. None of the members seem afraid at all. They act like they've done it 1,000 times before. Maybe they have. But when I look over my shoulder, I see most of the initiates look pale and worried, even if they talk excitedly to one another. What happens between initiation and membership that transform panic into delight? Or do people just get better at hiding their fear? 3 people in front of me. Another sling. A member gets in, feet first, and crosses her arms over her chest. 2 people. The tall, thick boy jumps up and down like a child before climbing into the sling and lets out a screech as he disappears, making the girl in front of me laugh. One more person. She hops into the sling face first and keeps her hands in front of her as Zeke tightens their straps, and then it's my turn. I shudder as Zeke hangs my sling from the cable. I try to climb in, but I have trouble. My hands are shaking too badly. Don't worry, Zeke says right next to my ear. He takes my arm and helps me in, face down. The straps tighten around my midsection and Zeke slides me forward to the edge of the roof. I stare down the building's steel girders and black windows all the way to the cracked sidewalk. I'm a fool for doing this. And a fool for enjoying the feeling of my heart slamming against my sternum and sweat gathering in the lines of my palms. Ready, stiff? Zeke smirks at me. I have to say, I'm impressed that you aren't screaming and crying right now. I told you, Uriah, says. She's dauntless through and through. Now, get on with it. Careful, brother, or I might not tighten your straps enough, Zeke says. He smacks his knee. And then, splat. Yeah, Uriah says, and then our mother would boil you alive. Hearing him talk about his mother, about his intact family, makes my chest hurt for a second, like someone pierced it with a needle. Only if she found out, Zeke tugs on the pulley attached to the steel cable it holds, which is fortunate because if it breaks, my death would be swift and certain. He looks down and says to me, ready, set, go. Before he can finish the word go, he releases the sling and I forget him. I forget Uriah and family and all the things that could malfunction and lead to my death. I hear metal sliding against metal and feel the wind so intense it forces tears into my eyes as I hurtle towards the ground. I feel like I'm without substance, without weight. Ahead of me, the marsh looks huge. Its patches of brown spreading farther and farther than I can see even up this high. The air is so cold and so fast it hurts my face. I pick up speed and a shout of exhilaration rises inside of me, stopped only by the wind that fills my mouth the second my lips part. Held secure by the straps, I throw my arms out to the side and imagine that I'm flying. I plunge towards the street, which is cracked and patchy and follows perfectly the curve of the marsh. I can imagine up here how the marsh looked when it was full of water, like liquid steel as it reflected the colour of the sky. My heart beats so hard it hurts, and I can't scream, and I can't breathe. But I also feel everything, every vein and every fibre, every bone and every nerve, all awake and buzzing in my body, as if charged with electricity. I am pure adrenaline. The ground grows and bulges beneath me, and I can see the tiny people standing on the pavement below. I should scream like any rational human being in the world, but when I open my mouth again, I can just crow with joy. I yell louder, and the figures on the ground pump their fists and yell back. But they're so far away I can barely hear them. I look down and the ground smears beneath me, all grey and white and black, glass and pavement and steel. Tendrils of wind, soft as hair, wrap around my fingers, and I push my arms back. I try to pull my arms to my chest again, but I'm not strong enough. The ground grows bigger and bigger. I don't slow down for another minute, at least, but sail parallel to the ground like a bird. When I slow down, I run my fingers over my hair. The wind teased it into knots. I hang about 20 feet above the ground, but that height seems like nothing now. I reach behind me and work to undo the straps holding me. My fingers shake, but I still manage to loosen them. A crowd of members stand below. They grasp one another's arms, forming a net of limbs beneath me. In order to get down, I have to trust them to catch me. I have to accept that these people are mine, and I am theirs. It is a braver act than sliding down the zip line. I wriggle forward and fall. I hit their arms hard, wrist bones and forearms pressed into my back, and then palms wrap around my arms and pull me to my feet. I don't know which hand holds me and which hands don't. I see grins and laughter. What do you think? Shauna says, clapping me on the shoulder. All of the members stare at me. They look as windblown as I feel. The frenzy of adrenaline in their eyes and their hair all over the place. I know what my father said the Dauntless were a pack of madmen. He couldn't understand the kind of camaraderie that forms only after you've all risked your lives together. When can I do it again? I say. My smile stretches wide enough to show teeth, and they all laugh. I laugh. I think of climbing the stairs with the abnegation. Our feet finding the same rhythm, all of us the same. This isn't like that. We are not the same, but we are somehow one. I look towards the Hancock building, which is so far from where I stand, I can't see people on its roof. Look, there he is, someone says, pointing over my shoulder. I follow the pointed finger towards a small dark shape slipping down the steel wire. A few seconds later, I hear a blood-curdling scream. I bet he'll cry. Zeke's brother cry? No way. He'd get punched so hard. His arms are flailing. He sounds like a strangled cat, I say. Everyone laughs again. I feel a twinge of guilt for teasing Uriah when he can't hear me. But I would have said the same thing if he was standing next to me, I hope. When Uriah finally comes to a stop, the members meet him. We line up beneath him and thrust out our arms in the space between us. Shauna clamps a hand around my elbow. I grab another arm. I'm not sure who it belongs to. There are too many tangled hands and I look up at her. Pretty sure we can't call you Stiff anymore, Shauna says. She nods. Tris. I still smell like wind, and I walk into the cafeteria that evening. For the second time after I walk in, I stand among a crowd of Dauntless, and I feel like I'm one of them. Then Shauna waves to me, and the crowd breaks apart, and I walk towards the table where Christina, Al and Will sit, gaping at me. I didn't think about it when I accepted Uriah's invitation. In a way, it was satisfying to see stunned looks on their faces, but I don't want them to be upset with me either. Where were you? Christina says. What were you doing with them? Uriah, you know, the Dauntless born, who was on our capture the flag team, I say. He was leaving with some of the members and he begged them to let me come along. They didn't really want me there. Some girl named Lynn stepped on me. They might not have wanted you there then, says Will quietly, but they seem to like you now. Yeah, I say, I can't deny it. I'm glad to be back though. Hopefully they can't tell I'm lying, but I suspect they can. I caught sight of myself in the window on the way into the compound, and my cheeks and eyes were both bright, my hair tangled. I look like I've experienced something powerful. Wow, you missed Christina almost punching an erudite, says Al. His voice sounds eager. I can count on Al to break the tension. He was here asking for opinions about the abnegation leadership, and Christina told him there were more important things for him to be doing, which she was completely right about, says Will. And he got testy with her. Big mistake. Huge, I say, nodding. If I smile enough, maybe I can make them forget their jealousy or hurt or whatever is brewing behind Christina's eyes. Yeah, she says. While you were off having fun, I was doing the dirty work of defending your old faction, eliminating inter-faction conflict. Come on, you know you enjoy it, says Will, nudging her with his elbow. If you're not going to tell the whole story, I will. He was standing. Will launches into his story and I nod along like I'm listening, but all I can think about is staring down the side of the Hancock building and the image I got of the marsh full of water, restored to its former glory. I look over Will's shoulders at the members, who are now flicking bits of food at one another with their forks. It's the first time I've been really eager to be one of them, which means I have to survive the next round of initiation.